What is the best posture for meditation?
Both Paramahansa Yogananda and the ancient exponent of yoga Patanjali, when speaking of posture as related to meditation, only had 2 points that they brought out. One, the spine should be erect, because you don't want kinks in the spine. You want that energy to be able to flow freely in the spine. Spine should be erect, and the posture should be comfortable. Comfortable so that we can sit in it for ever longer periods of time without moving. Because a proper posture is a posture that is still, not moving. The best posture for meditation, if one is seated on a chair, as most people are who start meditating in the West, is to have a flat chair, because most chairs are so structured that they tend to throw your back toward the back of the chair. And we don't want the back touching the back of the chair, because the back is very sensitive and that pulls your attention outward. And it also should be of the proper height, so that when we are seated on it with our feet firm on the floor, then the thighs should be parallel to the floor. This allows us to have our spine straight and at a 90-degree angle from our legs, which is comfortable. And then by placing our hands here with palms upturned at the junction of the body and legs, perhaps sometimes slightly out depending on your body size, because people's bodies and arm lengths are different. Find what is comfortable. Bring the shoulders somewhat back. This opens up the chest so we can breathe easily. Chin should be parallel to the floor. If one is meditating cross-legged, then either on a floor with a cushion or a firm bed. And again, the same thing applies. Spine erect, posture comfortable. And that very nature of the lotus posture, for instance, was so that it's a very steady type of posture. So when you sit in it, you're sort of locked in position. Some of you even said, well, it's called lotus posture because when you're in it, you see the lotuses. In other words, the chakras of the spine. That would be going deep. When we're meditating, we are trying to concentrate upon God. Now, we can concentrate upon anything, but that particular type of concentration that is placed upon God, that we call meditation. And if we stop and think about God, well, all the scriptures tell us God is omnipresent. God is everywhere. So where do we concentrate then? But since He is everywhere, He's also inside us. So the best place to concentrate that would have the fewer distractions or the fewer distances you might think of to connect with Him would be right within our very selves. And so we mentioned this point between the eyebrows, which is called the spiritual eye, has other names. The spiritual eye right here, if we, in meditation posture, lift the eyes to this level, which we can easily do, and then without straining, just lift the eyes and put the inner attention, the inner gaze here. Now this point is a very high spiritual point in the body. It is the center of will in the body. It's the center of concentration in the body. And you will see, perhaps you have noticed, that if you are concentrating very deeply on something, you may even knit your eyebrows because you're concentrating so deeply, because this is that center of concentration and willpower. This has also deeper spiritual significance. This is the point where the Christ or Krishna consciousness manifests. In that particular point of the body, we can most easily contact it right there in the spiritual eye. So this would be the place to concentrate when we meditate, right there at the spiritual eye. The spiritual eye, or sometimes called the third eye, at this point between the eyebrows, and it is actually something we see, and it has 3 parts, just as an eye does. If we look there, as we said, our eyes are closed after we have meditated. If we are looking there intently, we may see some light. most of the time beginners don't see any light. Everything is dark there, but some see light right away. And the light may be of different colors, or you may actually see the spiritual eye. If one sees the spiritual eye, it is a golden ring. Inside there's a dark blue part, and inside that, in the very center, is a star, 5 points with 1 point upward. So that is a spiritual eye. So what Guruji said, if you see any light there, look in the center of the light. So this requires concentration to see the spiritual eye. And that's sometimes called the cave of stillness, the cave of the spiritual eye, the cave of stillness, the cave of God. And we want to get into that cave of stillness. Because when you're in that, then you are beginning to perceive these aspects of God.
And that's done through meditation?
Yes, that will come through meditation eventually. Eventually. Doesn't necessarily always come right away. Although, again here, you have to take all of these things as potential. Some get it right away. Some get it in the middle. Some get it at the end. Depends on each individual. So let us be seated in meditation posture, as we have mentioned. And it is good when one begins a meditation to have an opening prayer. So let us focus our attention at the spiritual eye. And you can just follow me mentally in this prayer. Heavenly Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved God, open our hearts and minds that we may feel Thy love and wisdom. Help us to be silent and still, that we may discover Thee hiding right within ourselves. We long to know Thee. Reveal Thyself. Reveal Thyself. Om. Peace. Amen. And then let us begin the meditation. We want to first help still the body and the mind. We will take a deep breath, and as we do, we will tense the entire body. Then we will exhale with a double breath and relax. So take a deep breath, tense the body, relax. Inhale and tense. Exhale and relax. Inhale and tense. Exhale. Once more. Once more. Now take a deep breath without tension. Throw it out. Wait for the breath to flow naturally into the body. As it does, practice whatever technique you know, or just talk to God in the language of your heart. One way is just to simply take this simple prayer, which is, Beloved God, reveal Thyself, reveal Thyself, reveal Thyself, and go on repeating that over and over again, trying to go deeper and deeper into that thought. I want to see You, I want to feel You, I want to know You. Come, 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 come to me, You must come. I want Your presence. We may lovingly demand God's presence because we are God's child, each one of us.
Does prayer have a place in meditation? And if so, what's the best way to pray?
Yes, prayer definitely has a part in meditation. Prayer is always helpful, no matter what we are doing. And it certainly is a part of our meditational practices. We often will start with a prayer, end with a prayer. But beyond that, we can be praying during the meditation. There are times during the meditation when we may stop practicing a technique and become involved in prayer, which in that sense would be talking to God, conversing with God. That would not normally be a formal prayer, but a prayer from our heart in talking to God. Depending on our personal preference, we might think of God as Father, Mother, Friend, Beloved. We might think of a particular saint or master that we want to address our prayer to. Or if our worship takes a more impersonal form, we might even think of God as light or love or sound. That is the Om or Amen vibration. That's the primal vibration, the first vibration God sent forth from which all creation has manifested from that beginning vibration. Certainly he comes to devotees in all these ways, or even peace and address. You can talk to that divine light, to that sound, if that appeals to one. So prayer can be done in many different ways. The important thing in praying, and this is important in anything we do in life, is really very simple. Be sincere. If you are talking to God, be sincere. We all know that when we're talking to someone, we want to feel we're connecting, don't we? I like to think in meditation, when we are perhaps at the start, or it can be at any time, we're trying to make that connection, and we're putting out a soul call, a yearning. We're letting God know, I want you to respond. I want to connect with you. I want you to come to me. I want to know the reality of your presence. I'm not content to hear about you, to read about you, to hear stories about you. I want to know you. I want to experience you. Or to put it in another frame, I want to commune with you. If we want an answer from God in meditation or in prayer, we have to mean business with God, which basically means we have to be very sincere with what we want. And we have to let him know that we want it. And so putting the inner attention here as if we were looking through the spiritual eye. Don't try to focus the physical eyes here. So we're not trying to make people cross-eyed, but rather just put the inner attention and gaze here, and then just start talking to God. What you want to get here is you want to make that a call from the soul, a call from your entire being, a yearning for God. You're trying to call God. You're trying to get his attention. You want him to answer you. So you have to put your heart and feeling into it. Beloved God, reveal thyself, reveal thyself. Come, come, come. You must come. Come to me. You must come. Reveal thyself, reveal thyself. And really let him know you want him. If we can get our entire being absorbed in that prayer to God in that way, that is the type of prayer that God will respond to. Sooner or later, he will respond. And usually the first response of God that comes is you feel this great peace beginning to spread over your entire being. Peace begins to come. And that is no small thing. There are millions of people in this world just longing to have a little peace in their lives. Peace comes. Don't be satisfied with that peace alone. Go deeper still. Behind that great peace of God is the great light of God, the great sound of God, the great love of God, and many other aspects. But be sincere. Make the prayer come from the heart. That is the kind of prayer God responds to.
Brother, how will meditation help me?
Excellent question. And I think something every one of us, when we begin or thinking about beginning to meditate, naturally will tend to wonder how or can this help me? I think the benefits we get from meditation can start helping us right away, very quickly sometimes, because we begin to contact a part of ourself that is beyond our normal ego consciousness. We begin to contact a little bit of that soul consciousness. And that there's a lot of power and strength in soul that we may not find in our ego. So we begin to feel like we're being upheld by something that is more powerful than what we are, that we are not alone, that we are not facing this world and all of our problems that the world or we may be going through by ourselves. In other words, basically what it does, it teaches us how to cope with life, how to handle life. The average individual is often overwhelmed by the tests one may face, may fall completely apart and not be able to deal with it, just collapse in a mass of tears or feelings of hopelessness or helplessness. But if you are meditating, you begin to realize that, oh, there's a greater power in this that I can call upon that can help me. And I'm a part of that. We begin to eventually, as we go on meditating more and more and getting deeper, to realize that basically we are a wave of that vast ocean of God's presence. And as a wave, we are sustained. We are not alone. The wave is sustained by that vast ocean beneath it. We begin to realize that there's power in meditation, that there's power in us, and that is the power of God. And that power, therefore, is capable of overcoming anything, is the ability to accomplish.
Brother, have you found happiness?
I have found a happiness that years ago when I started on this path, I could not even imagine. I could not even imagine. In God is all happiness. Things can give us only limited happiness. And it doesn't last. Happiness is dependent only incidentally and somewhat upon outer accumulations or achievements. It's dependent mostly on what we are, our state of being. And there is a state as one more and more connects with our soul nature instead of our human or ego nature, which is subject to all of these unhappy situations, and we often find ourselves almost feeling like we're buffeted from one end to the other. As we connect more and more with soul and feel that underlying thing, with that comes happiness. It becomes an inner... Happiness isn't really the right word even. It's really joy. Joy is intense happiness. It's what the saints call bliss. Words really, I don't think, can describe that. We can only say, yes, I have seen. I can't believe. I don't think I ever thought I could have this kind of happiness. And it doesn't mean because you are feeling an inner happiness that you become hard or distant or unfeeling about others. No, in fact, you feel more compassion, more understanding for others. And that's a very useful quality to have. To be able to feel for others as we would feel for ourselves, to be able to serve others, to be able to think of others. Guruji put it very interestingly. He said, if you will think of others and serve them without a thought of self, just trying to make them happy, you will find that your own cup of happiness is full.